Hi, this is Ken Stiles, the Pragmatic Professor, here to offer insights and advice based on my 35 years of college teaching. Now, while most of my videos are aimed at college students, some of them are aimed at college professors, like this one. Sometimes the advice that you get in graduate school is either too thin or too unhelpful, and so I'm hoping to supplement some of that with insights that I've gained over my many years of teaching college and publishing and so on and so forth. So today we'll be talking about publishing in journals, not publishing journals, but publishing in journals. I've been a journal editor several times over and have worked with many editors over the years. So I have a few hints that I hope will be helpful. The first question that you should ask yourself is, what do the editors of this journal want and need? In other words, the focus should not be on your own work, first and foremost, or your personal career needs, okay? But it should be focused on the editor's perspective. Where are the editors coming from? Why did they create this journal? What kind of work do they do? And what kind of work do they appreciate? Right? If you ask yourself these questions, then you'll be on the right track. Editors generally looking for high quality work that's relevant and timely, fits into their particular journal's focus, and follows the instructions and guidelines that the journal has provided to authors. You might be surprised how often articles miss one or more of these elements and end up getting desk rejected as a result, which is kind of a waste of everyone's time. Another thing that you should do before you submit an article to a journal is become very familiar with the journal itself. Actually read several issues over the last few years, especially issues that have been edited by the current editorial team. Get a feel for the kinds of questions that are being asked and answered, and for the methodologies, and for the length, the number of citations, the format, all of these sorts of things, so that you can tell intuitively whether your article is likely to fit into this kind of collection. When you finally decide to submit to a journal, be absolutely meticulous about following the instructions they provide, particularly with respect to things like word length limits, formatting, even bibliography and citation style. It's a show of respect to the journal, and it will take one more thing off the list of reasons why they might give you a desk reject, okay, and not even bother sending it out for review. Speaking of reviewers, most journals allow you to list a few names of people you think might be willing and able to review the article, and more important, you can list a name or two of somebody who you do not want to have read the article. In many cases, journal articles go after sacred cows, and you don't necessarily want the author of a theory that you're trashing to be the one to review the piece. Alternatively, there's a tactic that you can use, which is to invite that person or those people to read your article before you submit it. In your acknowledgments section, you can list the names of people who've already read the article, and most of the time editors will steer clear of those people when it comes time to choose reviewers. So just a little hint there. Make sure that you're following the writing style, the structure, all the different things that make a journal article's tone and theme coherent. Okay. Now, once you submit it, you're going to feel as though you just sent a letter to the moon, okay? Because there's usually just a simple acknowledgement that the article's received, and then nothing for many weeks before you finally get feedback. Editors usually wait until they have all of the reviews in hand and they've made a decision before they contact the author. Reviewers tend to move slowly. One of the biggest problems in journal publishing these days is finding reviewers. So if it's taken 2 months, just sit tight, right? Most reviewers are given about 6 weeks to return their comments, but it may take a month or so to just find 2 or 3 reviewers willing to do the work. I would say 3 months is the soonest that you should start bugging the editor about the decision. It's possible that the editors are overwhelmed or maybe disorganized, and so a nudge after 3 months might be worthwhile, but certainly not sooner than that. When the reviews come in, this is the time when you adopt a fairly submissive approach. Now, granted, we all know that you're the expert on the topic of the article you just wrote. You probably know more than the reviewers, but it doesn't really matter at this point. Once the reviews come back, this is the judgment of the jury, okay? And just as any lawyer knows, you don't argue with the verdict. Instead, you plead on the punishment, the sentencing. So when you eventually revise, and you probably will have to, and resubmit the piece, do a thorough revision and provide a cover letter that addresses the reviewer's points one by one, and especially emphasize the ways that you've changed the article to accommodate the expectations of the reviewers. This is what editors would expect, right? If you don't do it, then that probably will doom your paper. Every so often, reviewers will say something foolish. You can just sort of ignore that, or address it briefly and say, this seems a little odd, so I'm going to ignore that. And in most cases, editors will indicate which reviewers' comments they think are most significant, most salient, and so focus especially on those. And then you may have to revise again. It's worth it. Once you're that close, it's the bird in the hand issue. You really want to go ahead and seal the deal, finish the process, and get the work out, rather than returning to a different journal and starting all over. Don't let your pride get in the way of your career. Okay? For what it's worth, you probably should know that journals hold copyrights. So while you can certainly market your article, you have to be a little bit careful about disseminating it, and make sure that you let the journal take the lead on that. And then, this is a plea from an editor to a young scholar: be a reviewer. This is a real problem in the profession, like I already indicated. There's a lot of pressure on young faculty to be engaged in all sorts of different things, especially writing new material, but also teaching new classes, and participating in professional societies, doing university and departmental service. And generally speaking, people don't get a lot of credit for reviewing articles. It's a deplorable situation, right? Reviewing articles should be at the top of the list of university and department service. So even if your department doesn't reward you, do it as a matter of principle. Participate in the profession, review articles when you get them. The only time I could see declining a review is if the article is completely out of your field, or you're coming up for tenure in 2 months, or you just gave birth, or something like that. But I see very few reasons why you should decline reviewing an article, and it's absolutely essential for the profession as a whole. Anyway, those are some of my thoughts about publishing in journals. I wish you the very best. This is Ken Stiles, the Pragmatic Professor. So thanks for watching. I hope that was helpful to you. Make sure to comment and like and share and watch for other videos. And of course, the views expressed are my own and not necessarily those of any institutions with which I've been affiliated over the years. Take care. Bye-bye.